So recently, Beth and I celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary. Although we celebrated it slightly differently, we was supposed to be away the kind of weekend after this weekend, and because we weren't, we thought that we would do something instead. We were talking and thought it'd be good just to kind of talk about our 10 years of marriage and things that helped us flourish during 10 years of marriage, things that helped us kind of grow together, learn together, things that helped us survive as well, 10 years of marriage. So what we've done is we've said to each other that we will try and come up with 5 things that helped us get to 10 years of marriage in our marriage. So 5 helpful things in marriage, 5 principles, for example, and we've kind of both written those down without telling the other one what our ones were. So be interested to find out what the other person's put. We're going to play rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first, and so here we go.
Okay.
What was that?
Not quite sure what that was. I draw all over you. I win.
Draw, it should be scissors.
The pencil.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh.
What's the matter with you? This could end in divorce
The
already.
pencil draws over the paper. We did that at school.
Anyway,
I'll go first then, shall I? Okay. So number 1, which I feel very passionately about, is that I think our first principle for marriage and the thing that we base our lives on really is our faith. And I feel like our love for Jesus and our relationship with God makes us who we are as people, and it makes our marriage. And it's really important for us that that is centered to our marriage, and that we spend time reading the Bible, praying, and basically to just share your relationship with God together as well with each other, and just make sure that Jesus is the centre, because ultimately we take our example from him.
cool.
So number 1, Jesus.
Okay. Well, my first one's kind of similar to that. So my first one is love, and I think the ultimate example of love that I would give would be a biblical definition of love. Obviously Jesus says how we know what love is, that he laid down his life for us. Elsewhere Paul describes love, in the different ways in 1 Corinthians, chapter 13. So love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast. So I think there's that example of love which God has given us. And so, we love each other, and obviously in a romantic sense of love. And I think our love for one another has been important, but there's obviously times when I think you have to, there's that romantic feeling of love isn't necessarily always there, straight after a fight, for example, or when you don't agree, or when the going gets tough. And I think in those moments you kind of have to choose to love the other person, and it's more of a deeper rooted love than just kind of romantic. It's a choice, and I think that we've had to have that throughout our marriage, and obviously having that experience of being loved by God that we've experienced, that we know, it makes it a lot easier to then have a love for someone else, even if you're feeling like you don't necessarily love someone else, to kind of push through that sense of feeling and to choose to love anyway. So love, defined I guess by the Bible, but and expressed as best as we can in our relationship, and trying to choose to love even when maybe you don't feel love.
Well, my second one was actually love. Actually wrote it 3 times. Got to do that. I actually wrote love, 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 and love till the end, because like David said, sometimes it's not easy to love somebody, and yes, it is a choice, but I never signed up for marriage for it to be a small thing and for it to end quickly. I signed up till death do us part. So that's why I wrote love, 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 love till the end. That is my number 2.
So my second one.
Oh my goodness.
You said that's your number 2.
Yes, my number 2 in the list of 5 principles
Yeah, there we go.
that help us survive.
So mine, I haven't really done them in order. So I will say next, fun and laughter. I think like we've generally have like a lot of fun. I think we laugh a lot together,
Most of the time.
And I think like that's been a bit of a priority like for us to try and like maintain that. And although like of course we argue and there's serious aspects, like we do generally try and do stuff together. You know, play games, go out, have a laugh. You know, even after an argument, I think one of us will normally try and make the other one laugh and just try and bring a bit of laughter into it. And I think just that sense of fun and laughter, whatever you're doing, just helps to give you a sense of perspective that maybe gets lost sometimes, that in like the seriousness of adulting and being an adult and being a parent as well now and doing all those things, life can get very intense. And so just even having a laugh at the end of the day, or being able to do something just fun and for a minute kind of lose yourself in that, just gives you a perspective and reminds you what's important. And so, you know, it's something that we try to do with the boys as well, just have fun with them, just laugh with them, put the phone down, forget those things and just enjoy ourselves. And yeah, it helps with a sense of perspective. So I think that, yeah, having fun together.
Yeah, well, my third one is quite similar to that. It's specifically it's time for one another, which links in with that fun and that like aspect of having fun together. Something that we do weekly is we put a date night into our diary and we plan, as David says, to do something fun. We make sure we plan what we're going to do, otherwise you end up being like, oh, it's date night, what we're going to do, and then you don't do anything. So set times, we set activities, we make sure that we do it and that there's no distraction. So yeah, similar to your fun thing, but I labelled it time. Make sure you give that other person time, your time, and undistracted. Undistracted? Don't know if that's a word. It's not, is it? Anyway, you're not distracted when you are giving them time.
Undivided.
Undivided, there we go. This video wouldn't be Beth without
No.
wrong word.
Yeah, well, mine had, so my next one then links in with time slightly, and it is sacrifice. And I was gonna say compromise, and I think it's like a classic thing that people say is like, you know, marriage is compromise, or in marriage you need compromise. But when I was kind of thinking about it and gonna say compromise, I recognised that whenever like in our conversations we maybe like are working towards compromise, it's always something that I don't really want to do, and even which is obviously the word compromise doesn't sound that appealing, but even if I am willing to compromise and I'm willing to kind of give an inch, it's only because I want you to give an inch or you to give 2 inches or whatever. So I think there's like this sense in which compromise, it's not so much about what I do, it's about what I want you to do, which I don't think is a healthy thing. Whereas sacrifice, what I sacrifice is fully down to me, that I'm in full control of that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that sense of actually saying, okay, what will I sacrifice for you? So, you know, when it comes to like a thing of compromise, rather than trying to find somewhere in the middle, actually just sometimes giving up all of your ground or giving up all of what you desire, laying those things down, laying down your own self-interest so that the other person can benefit, I think is really healthy. And then obviously that requires both of you to have that attitude. And I guess the danger is sometimes it can be a little bit like when you're standing at a door and, you know, you say after you and no after you, no after you. Like if you're both fighting for that, but I think that's a whole lot healthier position to be than fighting for what you want when you're actually fighting for what the other person wants. And yeah, I think that like generally we're quite good at that. I think Beth's better at it than me, to be honest. More sacrificial and laying down stuff and giving me time, giving me space. And yeah, something that I probably need to work on. But yeah, so sacrifice rather than compromise, but with the emphasis on what I can do rather than what you can do.
Okay, my number 4, I think, is that in marriage, I think it's really important that you be their biggest fan, and no matter what's going on, you need to really encourage each other and be their biggest fan. So whatever they're doing, if it's stuff that's on their own or stuff together, it's really important to encourage each other, to spur one another on, and also you know, that you are honest when you are spurring that person on. It's okay to sometimes say, look, maybe you could do this a bit differently, or have you tried doing it that way? But just be careful with your honesty and your openness. But I do think, yeah, that's my number 4. Just be your other half's biggest fan.
Yeah, I feel like you can take that for granted sometimes, can't you? Like, oh, they know I love them, so I don't need to tell them.
Yeah.
Or they know I think it's going to be good. Or the danger is that you think, oh, of course they're going to say that was good because they're my husband or they're my wife. And then our thinking is, oh, they're going to expect me to say that was good, so I won't say it because they won't receive it the way that I want to receive it. But I think it's important still to say that and still to emphasise it, and you know, maybe not even like straight after an event, like I don't know, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, like even a meal, like don't just kind of as a token gesture say, oh, that was a lovely meal, thank you. But maybe like if it genuinely was like a really good meal, which is rare, then like later on.
Excuse me, I cooked a good roast dinner.
Yeah, I'm joking. But like later on in like the evening, say like, hey babe, that was actually like, thanks for that meal, that was really good. I loved what you did with the dauphinoise potatoes.
Oh, I've never cooked dauphinoise potatoes in my life.
I'm just giving an example. But yeah, so I think that's a good one, like be your biggest fan. I've definitely felt like Beth is my biggest fan. And yeah, it helps build me up. So yeah, that's a good one. My next one, 4th one, then is chocolate.
Chocolate?
So yeah, I put chocolate, mainly because one of our cupboards is pretty much just full of chocolate.
Yeah.
Don't know, it could be called like the survival cupboard or something. But like for me, chocolate represents not just chocolate, although chocolate is good, and we both like chocolate.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a language that we know.
Although I'm a Dairy Milk Cadbury's fan.
Yeah, I'm more
He's
Galaxy.
a Galaxy.
Yeah. Although we both like Terry's chocolate orange, so it's good.
I don't really like sharing them.
But yeah, for me, like chocolate just represents like one, like shared interest, hence why we just was able to talk about chocolate. Like something that we both enjoy, something that we both like. But also like it represents like the small things. And I think sometimes the small things are really important. Like we make it about the big things, but actually sometimes the smaller things are very noticeable. And I know, like generally now, like if one of us goes shopping, then we might just pick up like a bar of chocolate for the other one, or if we know that we're having a bit of an off day, or one of us texts each other and we say, oh, work's a bit hard today, or blah blah blah, whatever. We know something's not going quite the way we wanted it to. Then quite often one of us will come home with like a chocolate bar or something like that as like a little thing to say, hey, I know you've had a tough day, like have this, enjoy it type thing. And it's just that little acknowledgement that they were thinking of you at that time, and not just thinking of you like sending a text or just saying like, oh, I was really thinking of you. Because although that's true, it's easier to just say that, but actually to go out of the way and get something, even if it's a token gesture, is like a massive thing. And so yeah, I think those small things are really important. Just reminds me of actually a story from when I was a kid. My mum, I came home one day on Valentine's Day, and I was really upset in primary school because I didn't get a Valentine's Day card. And I think I remember like crying to my mum about it. And later on in the afternoon or the evening, the door went, and my mum went, oh David, can you go see what that is? And I went to the door, and on the door mat was an envelope, a card, and I picked it up and opened it, and it was Valentine's card saying, to David, love, your Valentine. And it was blatantly my mum's handwriting. Even at that age, I could tell it was her handwriting. I don't think she even attempted to hide it particularly well. And even though I knew it was like my mum, I was like, Mum, I've got this Valentine's card. And it was just this like gesture of like, I think in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, this is definitely Mum. But just that small act just meant like the world to me. And I think like in marriage, you need those types of acts. Even if it's like a token gesture, even if they go, oh, it was 2 for £1 and you wanted one and you got me one. It's like,
which is normally David.
Then it's like a case of like, okay, you was thinking of me, and it's just really important. And I think like doing that like regularly, I think if it just becomes like a once in a blue moon thing, then yeah, that could be nice. But actually those little things regularly kind of add up to an acknowledgement of love. So chocolate.
Okay, my final one is communication.
That's my final one as well.
High five. Bang. So
That wasn't planned, by the way, at all. So.
we obviously think that communication is quite important, as we both got that. And I think that obviously communication is a two-way thing.
Pardon?
So
Sorry?
it's two-way. So, you know, we listen as well as talk. And everybody says, don't they, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. But I do think that listening is really, really important. And, you know, it's not just about talking and trying to get your point across. I do think it's really important as well with communication that you make sure you set time to have the conversations, even if it's like, who's going to do the shopping each week? And like have these conversations, or when are we going to talk about that thing that we really need to talk about? You need to link it in with time. You need to set those times. And something we have is a shared calendar, and we make sure that we communicate everything we do, put it in the calendar. Although just because you put it in the calendar doesn't mean you shouldn't then talk about it, because I always forget to talk about it. And that make sure that you take that time to talk to one another, and no distractions when you're doing that as well. Putting the phone to one side, you've got my attention.
Yeah, we got my attention because my phone's over there filming.
So yeah, communication.
So I said that's my last one too, and just to kind of clear up some things. Firstly, the calendar that we share is my calendar that Beth puts things in.
That we share.
Yeah.
Because we're a married couple.
I share my calendar with Beth.
And I share my
she
information
shares her
with
events
you.
with me. And then second, when she said everyone says 2 ears, 1 mouth, that's pretty much teachers and parents that say that. Don't say that to your husband or your wife. I don't know if that would go down well. But I think my final one was actually communication / honesty, because I think you can communicate really, really well, but if it was just kind of lies and you're hiding kind of like your true feelings, then it wouldn't be worthwhile communicating to an extent, and there'd be a breakdown eventually in those communications. So I think there has to be like a level of honesty within that, and an honesty about how you're feeling, about what you're thinking, about where you're at, and just a willingness to do that, and setting, like you said earlier, like setting time aside where you can have honest conversations and bring stuff up, and obviously putting those honest conversations in the right context. So not just bringing out like truth bombs during an argument or anything like that, but yeah, just having those opportunities to be like really honest and share how you're feeling, and reveal stuff and share stuff, and so honest conversations, honest communication is really important.
Cool. One thing just to add at the end here, I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression, or to think, because we've done this video, or 10 years of marriage, that we've got all the answers, or exactly how you should do it. It's just some things that we found out along the way that we just wanted to share with you guys, and to see if we kind of thought the same things. And majority of it, I think we do share the same opinions, which is positive.
I think like Barbara said, we hope it might be helpful for someone. That's why we filmed it. But we just thought it'd be during lockdown time, it'd be something fun to do, something a bit different, a chance to kind of mark our 10 years, to talk about these, in theory, 10 things, because it'd be 5 and 5, although we've had a few that are similar. So, but yeah, these kind of things that we share, and just a fun exercise to do. And we thought we'd film it to share with people. Hopefully it might be helpful to some of you. And I was hoping that I might get a bit more chocolate out of it as well, by popping in chocolate as one of the key things. Thanks for watching.
See you later.